This is the Outrigger Tour.
What's going on, guys? Trevor Hecton with Outrigger Outdoors here. We are kicking off our Outrigger Tour, and the purpose of the Outrigger Tour is we want to come out and connect with captains, guide services, and some of those guys that are using our products out in the elements and using them to make a living. We want to showcase kind of what they're doing and how they do it, and kind of some key points that you can learn from. Today we're meeting up with Chuck Belmore and Captain Chris Simmons with Keynet Bully Net and Charters. So pleasure to have you on our first podcast episode. So let's get rolling with it.
I like it. And I got to say this, it is hot, but Chris found us a place in the shade, thank goodness.
Yeah.
So, y'all bear with us. We're sweating, and it's 100 degrees down here in Key
It's
West.
definitely brutal.
It is.
Yeah.
All righty.
That's why we're working out at night now.
Oh, yeah.
So we went out last night. We went bully netting. So we'll kind of kick it off with what kind of conditions are we looking for, like for last night, for what makes a successful trip on where we want to go. Like last night, we were battling the wind.
We
tide.
had some brutal conditions last night to open it up. Wind and a current with a hard northwest wind, which is real bizarre for summertime. That's mainly due with that big system offshore right now, that hurricane they got out there. Just threw in a little bit of wind off of it and just kind of throwing a little wrench in our plan. We had some really, really nice conditions a couple days ago, and but thankfully as the night went on, it kind of laid down for us a little bit. We were able to get on it.
Yeah, you said it was going to get better the later it got. You said it's going to get better, guys. Just hold on there and stay with us,
And it did. We started running into 3-4 lobster at a time walking together. So.
And that's right when we caught that big thing, outgoing tide. We had a short window for our outgoing tide last night. That's one of the biggest things we try to key in on. And fortunately, we had maybe an hour and a half window. And as soon as that tide switched and started rolling offshore, they just started popping up out of nowhere. And that's kind of one of the things you want to look for. Certain flats that are pushing these lobsters with the tide. And then when they come out at night, they crawl and they walk around. They're looking for food. They'll get caught in these tides, and they'll just get pushed over these flats. So that one flat we were on, a lot of tide right next to it, and they try to get up on it, and looking for mainly these little snails and some crustaceans and clams, anything they can kind of crush with their mouth and get in their mouth. And they're up in that grass searching. So if you can find them little key spots like that, you can really make or break your trip.
Yeah, I know you're talking about the spars from like the motor, and there were several times where we saw those lobster just following it like a deer trail almost, just coming right down that trail.
Oh yeah, them prop scars. Another little easy little tip that you can kind of key in on. A lot of these flats, they're kind of treacherous to navigate, and guys go a little over, a little left, a little right, and these lobsters use these prop scars as just little highways. It's just easier for them to walk. So
for the people that are listening, explain, because some people probably don't understand like we do because we're on the water all the time.
Right.
But guys that might be coming down here first time, they're going to be like, what the heck's a prop scar? So tell them exactly what that is.
So prop scar is essentially just a piece of grass flat that's been dredged out by somebody's engine. They kind of veered out of the channel a little too far, and they're dredging up the bottom with their motors. And unfortunately,
just takes the grass out of there, and it's just a straight line. You can see it.
Unfortunately, it's damaging the grass. But on the second thing, these lobsters really like it, and we can kind of use that to our advantage.
Right.
Yeah, because I noticed from what we were doing, some of that taller grass, they would kind of hunker down into it, and it's a lot harder for them to move around. It seemed like in that taller grass.
And a lot harder
versus,
to see too.
Oh yeah. So they definitely like the path of least resistance. So they're, just thinking of like walking through the swamp. You're going to want to walk through some dry, short grass and not try to deal with some tall sawgrass or some swampy water. So, kind of think of that in perspective. What's easier for them to move through? And, not every flat's good. Like you said, some flats have really tall grass, and it's really hard to kind of look through it. The Outrigger Outdoor, the Swamp Eye LEDs, they're so bright. They allow us to see into these deep, deep grass beds and pop out these, we'll just see a little tiny antenna just sticking out or just a little piece of his head, and he's a really nice lobster just hidden in that grass.
Yeah, that was something that amazed me last night. You know, coming from the bow fishing world where all of our lights are setting up on top of the gunnels and we're shining, 500 yards up in the woods as well as out in the water. I was a little hesitant because I was like, when I seen the setups on all these bully netting boats, I'm like, man, are we even going to be able to see? And then, we get out there and that water's like bath water. It's crystal clear. And those the three, we were running the 3-light setup last night, and I was amazed at how far you could see those things once you got your eye trained on what to look for.
Right.
So they really did penetrate really good. And then to see a boat off in the distance, you couldn't even hardly tell they had any lights on because all the lights strapped under the water. That was pretty dang neat to me.
Keeps all that, they call that in bow fishing world, that light pollution.
Yeah, exactly. Ticking off all the homeowners and all the other boaters that are out there trying to sleep and everything.
Yeah. Sounds like a good way to push away your competition.
Yeah. They can't see nothing for sure.
That's it, yeah.
Well, Chris, how long have you been guiding down here? Like, I know we kind of jumped into the action and we didn't even give you a real good introduction.
So I moved down here in kind of like the COVID boom, 2019, 2020. Kind of a fluke thing. I was commercial gigging sheephead and flounder for, just kind of decent money, but wasn't really selling too good. I met a guy down here that wanted to buy a bunch of my sheephead, and I was selling it to him at Eaton Street Fish Market. And he actually had 4 or 5 CVs, charter boats. So
Okay.
I actually had my captain's license I got just recently at the time, and I was like, hell yeah, let me jump on down. I'll be down tomorrow. So I moved down the next week and started running charters in July of 2020. And I think I worked 240 days that year. It was just
a long time on the water.
Yeah.
It was incredible, and just learning the fishery. First year jumped in I know we always had the boat, so didn't really know what I was doing in the beginning, and I had a couple good friends that kind of had a clue and point me the right direction, and then it's just kind of trial and error from there.
Well, I know like last night, we started off a little bit slow and then seemed like you kind of built a network with a lot of people around here. You're able to call and kind of see
So
how everything's moving and where the lobster.
Handful of those guys that I reach out to, they've helped me learn this fishery, and I'm super grateful to them, and definitely need a couple guys that you can rely on, but then again, you want to be careful how much information you kind of give.
That's the guideline right there. Yeah. But that's kind of the general consensus across the board, no matter if it's bully netting or duck hunting or deer hunting or whatever. I mean, if you're struggling and you see your guide call one of his buddies and say, hey, how are y'all doing? And he says, man, we're struggling too. You don't feel nowhere near as bad. You know what I mean? You're just like, and they say, hey, we just probably need to wait about 12 like your buddy did last night. And you're like, yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. It sure makes you feel good because you're like, well, okay, maybe the sky ain't gar holding us. We're just waiting for the best time to get right before we hit the good spots.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, but that's what it takes, just having that experience to know when to go and where to go. But last night, man, I was blown away. Like, if I was coming down here blind, I would just look out here and go, they're everywhere. And that ain't the case because last night we looked a lot. Yeah.
My first years, and we had some really good years in 2020, 2021. We're seeing some really good numbers. We'd catch 30, 40 lobsters off each flat, maybe see a good little push on into and outgoing and catch maybe 100 or so. And we had great prices from the market. And a big thing that's happening down here is we've lost I don't know if we've lost the interest of the Chinese. They've kind of stopped buying our product as much as they used to, and it's drastically reduced the price of the market. I think they're getting $4.50 a pound right now, and it's almost like they can't even stay in business. So we've came up with different ways to kind of make some money doing the lobster thing, and bouncing into the charters and showing people a different perspective of catching lobsters. And I like to think of it as we're not raping the fishery anymore. We're trying to catch 200, 250 every night. That's our limit commercially, and we can catch 24, we can catch 30 or 18, give people a good time and make about similar money.
Right.
And not have to overkill the fishery.
Yeah. I think the biggest misconception just from kind of whenever I talk to customers and whatnot is people think there's 2 days of lobster season, and that's what the last Wednesday and Thursday of July mini season. And then it seems like people kind of forget that, hey, the actual season opens up after that. And, we are at the end of August, and truthfully, lobstering's pretty dang good down here right now.
So it'll stay good for probably about November till we start seeing those high pressure cold fronts come through. Them lobsters really don't like those high pressure systems. They feel it. They start going deeper to the reefs, finding a little more neutral temperature, neutral pressure. So a lot of times we can struggle in the wintertime at bully netting.
Mm-hmm.
You really want to key in on those tides. That'll help you a lot if you want to do it. But last year was pretty epic. We caught limits almost every trip all the way into March.
That's awesome.
And our March 31st, we had a 5-man limit into the season. It was an epic trip actually. So we was really looking forward to this year. This year we started on a full moon opening week.
Yeah.
Mini season was a little better. We were kind of getting the beginning of that moon, but by the time regular season opened up, we had a full moon. We had incoming tide all night, so it was a bit of a struggle in the beginning of the night. Kind of just had to double down, slow down a little bit, and just kind of search through this deeper grass that they've been hiding in. But the big thing with mini season is everybody wants to come down and dive that 4 or 5 foot water.
Right, yeah.
We have so many novice divers come down, and they just want to do like an easy thing with their family, and sometimes it's not as easy. These populations seem to be falling off a little bit last couple of years, and these ledges that were once completely full and there was plenty of lobster everyone is not so much anymore.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cutthroat. We get a lot of people that actually don't end up catching very many lobsters, even
Right.
maybe even on a charter or on their own. So I get a lot of clients that come in and ask, they're looking on the website and checking us out, and they come out with us, and we kind of show them a different perspective of you don't have to get in the water. We're out night. It's cool. We're cool. It might be a little warm when it's no wind, but we're out of the sun. It's cool. You can have a couple drinks if you want. Don't want to get too drunk, but we're on a little bit of a tippy boat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we wore just regular casual clothes and tennis shoes, and we didn't get wet. It was a good trip.
We
last
wasn't
night.
filthy when we went home. Like,
No, bow fishing, you're gonna get slime all over you. It doesn't matter what you do.
Yeah, you're gonna be muddy and bloody and everything else. Last night, I felt like I'd been at work. I was like, this ain't nothing. This is awesome.
Yeah,
We got the bean bags for all our clients on the boat. It's super comfy. A lot of times people just fall asleep, and I'm cool with that. You know.
Yeah, it was a pretty good run on the way back. I mean, it was nice and relaxing for us back there. You look like you was pretty uncomfortable standing up the whole time. But let's talk about y'all's boats. That's something I think people will find really interesting. Keying in, especially on the lights, of course, because that's why we're here.
Right.
But what's the benefits of having, I know you and I talked about it a little bit last night, of having the lights mounted the way you guys do? Because I've been all over the nation. This is the only time I've ever seen, besides floundering, that the lights under the water is the ticket,
So we got all this deep water that they travel through, and we can see in this 10, 12-foot water, 13, 14-foot water, my push poles, our nets are 14 feet long. So all these lobsters are traveling throughout all the channels, throughout all these tides. They come out, they're getting pushed. So we're trying to key on these lobsters in deeper water. Sometimes they're not shallow. Opening week, they're pretty shallow. They're ready to kind of, offer themselves to us. But we get that pressure, that mini season pressure, and they kind of go on a big push and a walk. And this year it seems like they're gravitating a little deeper, 10 feet.
Well, it seemed like last night, we're in the flats where we're a couple feet deep, and then you were talking about, how whenever they get a little pressure, they get light, or they get us coming up over them, they start running to the ledge. And there's literally, we had several instances where we're right there on the ledge where it goes from 4 or 5 feet and it drops off down to 10 plus. And it's like they try to get to that ledge and skydive off. I think that was a comment you made. They kind of skydive off the end.
Jump right off and go wee.
Straight to the bottom because they know nothing can get them.
So I felt like, with the being able to see them still whenever they jump off that ledge and get down to the bottom, that's kind of where the lights are really crucial. running the submersibles, the swamp ice submersibles, and
If we can key on a really nice low tide with no wind, I mean, we can see 12, 14 feet of water, no problem with these lights. I mean, they really get good penetration. We like using a yellow, warm white here in the Key West. We have the Gulf here pretty close. We have a lot of tide that pushes in and out of the Gulf, and a lot of times there's a lot of sediment in the water column. The white seems to refract a lot of the sediment back in our face, so we tend to use the yellow here. It pierces through that glare, and we can kind of see the reflections and the shadows of the lobsters on the bottom versus looking for their eyes or looking for the natural color.
yeah, I know there's several instances where we saw them just kind of glowing, and we started looking at those conch shells and all them other things that would glow the same way, and you start thinking everything's a lobster. But
Yeah.
the more
And great point. That's kind of what we're keying in on. Anything that kind of glows, anything that kind of maybe looks like a whitish, yellowish rock, key in on that. Sometimes it might be a lobster. It's a little blurry in the water column. If it's a little rough, it's kind of hard to see. Just kind of key on any of those items that are glowing that pick up on your eye. Those are usually turn into a lobster. Not every time, but usually it might be.
Yeah. One of the things I thought was interesting is how you guys wire your lights. And I know I asked you last night, but I'll let you tell us that how they're wired on your boat. Running off the alternator. Because I've never seen anybody else do that.
yeah, and it was quiet in the way he had it going.
So when I first jumped in the game, we're making homemade lights and we're using generators, and it's loud, it's noisy, there's fumes, and we got clients on the boat, and it's a small space, so we're trying to come up with a way to run 3 lights or 2 lights just off batteries, and it's quiet. We can listen to our music. It's a good time.
You had mentioned with the lights that you've made before, like a problem is you get shallow and you hit those glass bulbs and they'd break. And
Not so much hitting stuff, but they get so hot that you would have to let them cool down.
right,
The gas has to cool back down before you can start it back up. So there was
gotcha.
like, all right, I got this much time I need to kill because, all right, let me run to another spot, let it cool down, and by the time I get there, I'll be ready. But that's kind of one of those things you have to deal with these LEDs. I got 3 switches. I got one for each light. I don't like rigging them all together in case maybe one goes bad for some reason. I can kind of troubleshoot a little easier. Makes it a lot easier for me.
For sure.
Sometimes it could be just a little nick in the wire, and this is a quick little fix.
Yeah.
Yeah, another really cool thing was the way you have it where you can aim it.
Yeah.
Because I noticed a lot of times, and you'll see it on the video from last night, a lot of times you'll see a lobster, just like bow fishing, just see it with the corner of your eye. It's almost like you can't see them going straight at them, but until you get past them, then you kind of get that profile. And when you would see them, you would grab the light real quick and turn it around there to keep him lit up. So having it where it was movable, I thought was really cool too, just for guys that are looking at buying them a bully netting rig and coming and trying it for the first time or just buying their first set of lights. I think that's something that people want to, learn about too, is like, you don't want them stationary.
Right.
And I'm using all this. I've been bully netting one time, and that was last night. But I say that because I went with a professional that catches the fire out of them. So, and I watched him, and being an avid hunter and fisherman, like, I pay attention to detail. And if he's doing it for a reason. It's just like like you and I were talking about running the warm light. My knee jerk when I come down here, I want the brightest light I could get,
Yeah.
And he's like, no, you don't want that because when you get a bad tide. And I was like, oh, okay. So I believe him now,
Yeah.
So, I think that's all those little points that'll help people be more successful and let them make the right decision on purchasing the right light setup. And that's what it's all about. Buy once, cry once.
That's it. Yeah.
And then the big thing too is, these lights, we want to try to get them up underneath the boat a little bit if you can, if it's possible. If not, it's not super big deal. But if you get these lights up underneath the boat, you're cutting out a lot of that glare that's coming off the sediment and coming back. That first 5 feet of light that's super bright. A lot of times you're looking at it, it kind of comes back in your face. So we try to get the lights up under the boat so you're not kind of staring directly into that beam. Kind of blinds you a little bit sometimes.
That was nice, like not having any reflection coming back. Everything's just concentrated down to the down underneath the boat, and
And it kills the bugs too.
It
The bugs are
does.
nowhere near as bad as when the lights are
No.
exposed.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they just don't go to it. So I thought that was pretty neat.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
We don't usually have a problem here. Luckily, City of Key West sprays quite often, and
That's good.
you know, we're staying pretty local. A lot of these spots we're right in the middle of town basically, and no big secret. We're just keying in on these lobsters moving through every night and just trying to key on certain conditions. You know, so there's nothing really to it. It's just kind of figuring out what bottom they like. Definitely key on some of these shorter grasses, maybe these little sandy patches. One thing, I don't know if you guys saw them in the sand at all last night. They almost disappear when they go in the sand. They they turn like a darkish color. They stop reflecting,
Yeah.
and they're just sitting down there in that sand. It's hard to see them. So sometimes we'll kind of lose them in that, but.
Yeah, my favorite was when they were on top of the grass. I could
Yeah.
actually see them.
Yeah, they stick
and it's
out.
amazing too how well you knew what to look for. Like there's one, and it took me a minute. You know, I'm sitting there looking, and I'm like, where? And you said right there, and then it would click, and then once you seen it, you could not see it. But then later on the night, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm getting it now. So I think after time, I could get where I could spot them a little bit better. But man, you could see them things so far away. It was awesome to see.
They're pretty cunning little creatures. You know, they don't look like they have very good vision, but they see fairly well, and they're pretty good at evading. I mean, that's kind of what they do all day long. They're hiding from us and all the fish.
There's a few of them evaded Trevor last night. I seen.
Yeah, they did.
Hey,
Like I said last night, we got to keep everything authentic. You know?
Right.
We can't get all of them.
Well, that's why when you said, "Hey, won't you get off the camera and go up here and run this?" I'm like, "No, you go ahead, buddy. You're good. You're doing great."
But overall, you guys did really well. You know, we get, you know, all walks of life come and do this. From, you know, young families come out, 3-4-year-olds have had to catch their limits, and I've had wounded veterans come on the boat and
It's awesome.
brought some you know, we made the wheelchair work and got them on some limits. So it's very versatile for a lot of different people to try. We'll try and work with you if you have a handicap, you know, and we want you to try and have fun and experience a good time. So it's almost all ages. Anyone can do it.
That's a good point too. We haven't talked about too is the limits. I'll let you explain that too, because there's a recreational limit if you come and try to do it by yourself, but then you have a limit on the commercial side. So explain the benefit of someone coming with you, and you know when you talk about the limits, like you know.
On a charter, we're restricted to our 6 per person.
Right.
In the Atlantic, a captain can keep his catch along with the charter. In the Gulf, that's frowned upon. That's not allowed.
Oh, okay.
So, but in the Atlantic, with discretion, we'll keep our, you know, depending on how good it is, we'll keep my limit too, but
and that's 6.
That's 6 per person.
Okay.
And for mini season, that's the same too, because everywhere else in the state, it's 12 for mini season. Monroe County is the only county that doesn't do the double limit for mini season.
Okay.
And that's kind of to deter, you know, I mean, they say a couple 100,000 lobsters get taken out of the water during mini season.
Golly.
That's a lot of boats.
There's a lot of bugs getting taken out, and we see that. It's almost a night and day change from seeing hundreds of bugs to, you know, you see a couple here, a couple there, a couple there. You got to cover ground.
Right.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, I know last night we got our limits, and man, I was happy. Like I was ecstatic. I was like, this is plenty. You
Yeah,
know?
absolutely.
And I honestly went into it not knowing what to expect, but I had a freaking ball. Like it was like I'm looking forward to tonight.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
just to go back and now that I kind of know what we're doing, you know, it's like the anticipation of knowing a little bit what I'm doing has got me fired up.
Yeah.
You know?
Feel
And
like
then-
we can talk somewhat intelligently now.
Yeah, not be an absolute idiot.
And
So,
then
you
as
know.
far as commercial fishing goes, the vessel limit's 250.
Wow.
So they can keep quite a few. It's the same for the divers. They're allowed 250. Once upon a time, it was 500, and before that, it was unlimited. And a lot of guys actually got in trouble. You can go into a whole nother podcast with that one.
Well, maybe we will.
Maybe so.
At a different date.
Yeah.
And I've never caught my 250. I've been at it 4 or 5 years. I've caught 210. I've caught 215. We've had some really, really awesome, great nights.
That's a heck of a bunch, right
That
there.
is.
And it's work. I mean, when you're seeing hundreds of lobsters. Usually they're in this one little area and they're pushing. You got to catch them as fast as you can before they push out of an area.
How many of them crates is 250 gonna fill up?
It takes about 3 of them things to fill 250.
That's a
medium
lot.
60.
Now, another point I'd like to preach to people, like I said, there's going to be a lot of people that hear this stuff. There's a ton of people that buy lots from Trevor for this. There's going to be a lot of people, I'm sure, after they see the videos and stuff that want to come try it for their first time. Tell us about the limits, the size, and the little tool that you had, because I thought that was really interesting too.
So I should have brought it over here, but it's on the boat. I like to buy the commercial grade metal gauges for these metal lobster gauges. Usually they're like a 3-in-1 tool. They got stone crab on it. They got blue crab on it. So that they're pretty useful little tool. I try to always buy the metal or the ones that DNR or FWC's using, because they're gonna use your gauge against you. They'll measure with theirs, but they're gonna use your gauge against you if anything happens. So the metal gauges are actually a true 3 inches. A lot of these other gauges, these plastic ones, these other metal ones you see at West Marine, these are made overseas and they're not made to precision. And they might be a little bigger, they might be a little shorter, so you might get in trouble, or they're just playing it safe, and they're usually about a 1/16 of an inch larger. So a lot of times you might be releasing keeper lobsters and you don't even know it. So try and buy the commercial grade or the industrial grade gauges. You might have to find a tackle shop or a fishing supply house to get these gauges at, but some tackle shops carry them on the regular. I get mine through a shop up in Marathon, Two Conks. They have the shellfish gauge. Has everything on it. He's even got a fuel key and a bottle cap opener. So
Multi-tool.
Yeah.
I like it.
That's handy.
I keep a nice little float on it in case we drop it in the water. And
Some of the stuff like that, talking about doing like a DIY type trip versus going with a charter captain. Making sure that's something very important, knowing how to properly measure your lobster and using the right tools. And, because you don't want to get in trouble for some of that stuff. So.
Right. And after last night, just seeing where they were and how much of this place looks the same, I would suggest coming with somebody the first time, 100%.
Absolutely.
At least for one night. And I'm not saying bring your own boat and then smooching on their holes the next night, but I'm saying come down here, go have a good time. It's kind of like skydiving. You don't want to screw up the first time. So go with a professional, come down here, have a good time. And then after that, you can go cut your teeth and go rogue. But, I would definitely suggest coming with you and having a good time and taking home a bunch of lobster to eat. And then after that, if you go get your teeth kicked in, it's not so bad. At least you got something to eat afterwards.
definitely try to go with a professional guide, whether it's snorkeling or bully netting. Super important. Monroe County does not play around. You get a nice citation and you appear notice in court. And if you live in Seattle or New York, you're going to have to come down here and appear to court, and it's not going to be a fun time, and they're going to try and make an example of you. So try to follow those rules and try to learn from, the experienced, professional guides, and just try to do it right and just be safe. But definitely play it safe. If they're hanging, a hanging lobster, if you put your gauge on it and you can hang it from the gauge, that is technically a short lobster. You don't want to keep those. You'll get in trouble for them.
Okay. And we caught males and females last night.
Yeah.
And you showed us how to tell the difference in the paddles. The females have the bigger paddles on the back, which, like you were showing us, we have really good video of that. I thought that was really interesting because
you should never have to worry about catching a lobster with eggs on it while bully netting. Maybe up in Miami, possibly, but I've never seen an egg bearer up in the shallows. Their egg bearing is when they're spawning to go out to the reef, so that's one good thing you don't have to really worry about. And it's usually more of a problem later in the season when they're getting ready to spawn in the early summer, late spring. So.
Gotcha. So what's the best way for someone to get in touch with you if they want to set up a trip and come down here and try this stuff out?
You can check out my website, keywestbullynetcharters.com. All the information's laid out great, all pricing, all the info you'll need. We're We have all our fishing license included, so you don't have to go out and try to run down a fishing license. You can contact me through Instagram at Captain Chris Simmons KW and see all our pictures and all our trips on there. And you can also reach out to me on my personal phone number 954-559-0803. You can text me anytime or shoot me a call. I'll answer.
Awesome.
Yeah.
One other thing I wanted to kind of go over that, towards the end of the night, whenever we were cleaning the lobsters, and that first one I did, you'd probably clean 6 or 7 of them, and I'm over there jacking up that lobster, and you had some tricks there for sliding the knife in and kind of going around the tail and then pulling it out like a crawfish almost, it seemed like.
Mm-hmm.
So just it's a little more efficient for me. I've been using a nice little 6-inch little blade. We just go in the head and just go out, just nice little outline and just free it from the head. And I like doing that. Then ringing it, I feel like I get a little extra of that head meat out of there. It's a little more tender, a little tasty, a little nibit. And then from there, we use that deveiner tool they came out with a few years ago. I mean, you can always use the antennas and just break them off.
Yeah, that was cool.
That
when you
was
showed,
cool, yeah.
you're like, heck, right here it comes with one. Comes with
its
the
own
deveiner tool. Yeah.
But my hands are, they get a little beat up as you get a little older and all this sun and all, so the wear and tear. So I try to use a deveiner tool. It's got a nice little handle on it. It's got all these little barbs, and stick it in, twist it a couple times, pull it out. It works every time. I get about a year out of it. That's thousands of lobsters.
Oh gosh, yeah. I could see you could get
Yeah.
really quick cleaning them right there
Well,
last night.
I
You were
mean,
rocking and rolling.
all them spines that are on there, I mean, seems like you got to wear some like leather gloves.
Definitely
or
have
something
had
to-
some few incidences over the years, so I don't like to ring them anymore, especially when we're coming after a trip. They're live, they're kicking, they're fresh, and
Yeah.
them spurs can do some damage.
Well, that's it. There's not a dull part on that entire thing's body.
No.
It's like picking up a wadded up thing of tinfoil. That's what I equate it to, because
Yeah.
there's just sharp edges on everything.
Yeah.
That's why I was blown away, and those big spurs right over their eyes I thought was super cool, because I'd never seen one up close. We don't have lobsters where I'm from, so
Yeah.
that was pretty neat.
So
No, man,
definitely
that-
wear your safety gear. Gloves are always nice. I tend to never use them, but they do crawl around in this mud, and some of these ledges, these grass ledges, are crawling around in this mud. It kind of holds some bacteria and stuff. It'll get in your hands. It'll get in your little cuts, and it'll give you a little irritation. So definitely kind of look out for that. You don't want to sit there and be itchy. Some people deal with it a little differently than others. I've had a mate of mine. It's almost like fish poisoning. It's this bacteria, and it gets in your little cuts, and it just starts itching a lot. It's pretty annoying. So wear your gloves when you're handling them, unless you want to kind of have that little annoying little prick.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, this has been great. I mean, that was the most unique experience that we've been on in a long time. And, I've been flounder gigging for a long time and bow fishing and everything else. And
Nothing like stabbing a fish, though.
Oh, yeah. This fits right in there. Pretty much using a very similar setup that you would for flounder gigging. And you're even using a long pole like that and just has a net on the end of it instead of a gig head. So really cool thing. I think, I see why a lot of people are taking an interest to it. We had a blast. You go out at night, you don't got to worry about the sun getting burned up or anything like that. It's pretty cool out, got a nice breeze. So I think it was a great time. I had a blast.
Oh
And
gosh, yeah, it was freaking awesome.
Appreciate that, boys. I'm glad you had a good time. That's
Yes,
what we
sir.
aim for. That's exactly what we try to do for everybody. And
all righty. Well, it's been fun. I appreciate you joining us on the podcast. This is kind of our first episode for the Outrigger tour, going out and getting to meet up with the guys that use our products and put them to work and have really tested and proven them. And we got to kind of come out here and see firsthand what it's like to be with the professionals and see how the tricks of the trade and how they make everything happen. It's incredible just seeing everything that you've learned over the years that you've been bully netting and being able to learn from you and everything else. So I'm looking forward to doing some more of these podcasts and growing this Outrigger tour and seeing where it goes with it. And I appreciate Chuck coming out and helping us out. Chris, thanks for having us.
appreciate you guys. Look forward to seeing some some of your new products hopefully coming up. That'd
Yes,
be really
sir.
cool.
Oh, we're always looking for new avenues, new ways to make things a little bit easier on everybody. But yeah, go ahead and follow the Outrigger Outdoors on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and we'll be uploading the Outrigger Tour podcast. And just keep your eyes out for more episodes coming soon. And if you want to go on a bully netting charter, get with Captain Chris Simmons right here, and we'll go ahead and post all of his information and as links in the video. So appreciate you guys, and we'll on to the next one.